from the creator. It is very highly complicated code, just like a computer code. So anybody out there that's touching on that information or getting to it, like Morgellons and things like that, you will probably be attacked, frequency wise, physically, verbally, whatever you want to say, because that is the hot button for the future. Hacking the temple of God, trying to, because see, that's what Satan, the enemy, is after. He wants to set himself up in the temple of God, declaring himself to be God. He basically wants to be one with you, or commune with you. And we'll get to that later from the first video that I played. Communion of the body and the blood. But before that, I'm going to play this clip. And it speaks of nanoparticles. And you'll understand why they don't want any information out about nanoparticles and nanobots in a bad way. You watch for yourself.
One thing even they didn't know, though, I'm wired too. I replaced 98% of my own noodle with nanotissue years ago. But mine's different. It's built to send, to transmit, whereas every other nanocell that I put out there, including the ones in your head, Cable, designed to receive. I think it, and you do it. See, nanocells are real small. 1,000 times smaller than these dust particulates. You inhale it, they go to work replicating, spreading like a virus, multiplying in exponentials. 6 months' time, I could have 100 million people converted, ditch diggers, porn stars, and presidents. Not one would be the wiser. 100 million people who buy what I want them to buy and vote how I want them to vote, do pretty much damn well anything I figure they ought to do.
New research in Britain has raised concerns about the potentially harmful effect of nanoparticles. The emerging technology is used in a variety of medicines and even sunscreen. The research found that the small particles could damage the DNA of cells. They're tiny microscopic particles which can store and release drugs in specific areas of the body. As a result, nanoparticles are increasingly being used in medicine and surgery. But because the particles are so small, there's been growing concerns about potential toxicity.
There's an emerging sort of body of evidence that says that for some particles of certain scales and of certain materials, that there are potential health risks.
New British research has added to that concern. It found nanoparticles could damage cells without even entering them. Scientists found the particles change the function of cells and how they communicate with other cells.
What this study shows is that even with a barrier between the blood supply where the nanoparticles are and cells, that there can be damage to cells, and not just a bit of damage but significant damage to the DNA.
One of the biggest areas of concerns has been the use of nanoparticles in sunscreen. A review this year by the Therapeutic Goods Administration found sunscreen was safe and that the particles didn't penetrate skin cells. If trends in science continue, there's no doubt nanoparticles will be used more and more.
We really need to do fairly sophisticated studies of the toxicity of nanoparticles before we use them extensively in humans.
The TGA says it will monitor scientific literature should any tangible safety concerns be identified. Sophie Scott, ABC News.
This next part speaks to Prince, which is scary for me and confirmation at the same time. This was part of this video, Know Thy Enemy, which was already in it, and I had to re-edit it out, parts of it, because he passed away right in the middle of me making this video. And you'll see why. It speaks to exactly what I'm talking about. When you speak out about DNA and the human genome and chemtrails and things like that, you will be attacked. So I want you to listen to this part of the interview, and then I'm going to play a couple of his CD covers that tell you a story without telling you a story. He's telling you information in a roundabout way, because he has to be very careful. But whether he was killed or not, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for me working on this video and what I'm sharing with you, and then this gentleman passes away, it's confirmation of exactly what I've been telling you. So you'll listen to the upcoming interview when he did a talk show, and then I'll play that, and then we'll continue. I'll come back and we'll go a little deeper even still.
It's obvious now that artists are supposed to own their master recordings. I mean, in the future, it'll be unconscionable to even think you can take somebody's creation and claim ownership of it. See, unfortunately, this discussion is going to start to barrel into a discussion about the human genome and the DNA and all the rest of it. When it gets there, then we're going to be in the deep water. See, so it's better to start the conversation now before we get into God talk, you know. When I saw the State of the Black Union, Dick Gregory really moved me and a lot of my friends. I show it to everybody that comes over the house, especially white folks, because they need to hear that, you know, so that they know more about all of us. Because what he said affects all of us. He said something that really hit home about this phenomena of chemtrails. And, you know, when I was a kid, I used to see these trails in the sky all the time. And so, oh, that's cool. A jet just went over. And then you started to see a whole bunch of them. And the next thing you know, everybody in your neighborhood was fighting and arguing, and you didn't know why. Okay, and you really didn't know why. I mean, everybody was fighting. So he started riffing about the chemtrails, and he started to say things that hit home so hard. And I would recommend that everybody try to get what he said online or wherever, and try to get a copy of it and just listen to it. Because I was so moved that I had to write the song. The other thing is the first line of the song says I was born on the same plantation in the United States of the red, white, and blue. And we live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants, you know. When I found out there were 8 presidents before George Washington, I wanted to smack somebody. You know, I wanted to know why I was taught otherwise. Just tell me the whole story. I'll fill in the blanks, but don't, you know, don't tell me something that you think I'm supposed to know.